Okay, this is just a basic test of this quick release belt drive system I've been working on. Seems to be working okay at this basic test. So I've got some blue filament in here. I'll just zoom in so you can see that a bit better. Just zoom out a bit because I want to see the end of it moving in a way. This is my old feeder, been really good, excellent. I'd like to thank the eBay seller who printed this out to me. Put the details here. And this one is actually based off this one. But see, this one has two balls that if you want to change the filament you'll have to undo and undo, like the catch thing on here. This one is more of a quick release mechanism. So first of all I'm going to ask my LCD 128 to go backwards and feed the filament out. There's not much filament in here, there's just a piece of test piece, this blue stuff. Okay, it's just so you can see it moving. I've got the temperature set on the nozzle. If you don't have the temperature set, generally it will not extrude. So this is going backwards. And it is actually moving. Sometimes when I'm doing filament feeds, if I want to make sure it's moving, I have these clips. So I have these type of clips which you can clip on. These came from some epoxy resin I got off Poundland. Let me zoom out a bit so we can see a bit more. It would have went off on the LCD, yeah, it has. But it would if you leave it a few seconds, it will go off. Move access, I'm going on 1mm extruder and then turning an anti-clockwise to come backwards. So this is like a retraction direction. I'm coming retraction because there's not much filament in here and most of it is up at the top because I have been already testing this. If you look, you'll see that this distance here is getting wider. Now I'm going to go forward. So this is like normal direction, feeding the filament into the Bowden tube. I mean, I can put a bit of like tension on here, not a lot, but a bit of tension on there if I want, and it still feeds. So you see that the gap here is getting gradually shorter. As it's feeding up into the Bowden tube. As I say, this is just a short piece just to test it. And now actually that clip is almost touching the bottom of this feeder. So let's go back a bit as if we were retraction. Normally retraction would only be generally a couple of millimeters, maybe 2.5, that's what I've been using recently, 2.5 millimeters retraction. I'm going to go forward and backwards quite quick, just a short distance. Just going forward, now backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards. Okay, I'm going to show you a bit another angle of this. Just let this stop. Just prepare, move axis 1 millimeter, extrude. Let me go backwards to start off with. There is an arrow on here. That would be better to probably be printed in a different colour, or I might put some Tipex over the top of that arrow. So I'm going backwards to start, because as I say, I've only got a short piece in here. If I go too far, it's going to go past the hub bolt there. So that's coming backwards, like retraction direction. You might notice a gap there getting longer. I think you can notice a gap more if I feed inwards the normal direction. So I'm going to start asking it to feed in now. So this is just a basic sort of testing I'm doing. Obviously I'll have to try printing with it, see how well it does. So you probably can see that like gap between that clamp I put on and the top of the feeding mechanism is getting closer gradually. Feeders can move very, very slow indeed, hard to tell. That's another reason I put the arrow on, so I can glance at this and see if it's moved. If you're looking at the edge, it can be hard to tell because all the teeth are symmetrical, all the same just about. So you see how close that has got. So let's come back a bit. Okay, I'll show you a different angle just now. Let this stop. So you probably see the dragon motif I put on. Go on prepare. Move axis. Move 1 millimeter. Extruder. And I'm going to feed forward a bit first. I'll have to start feeding backwards because, as I say, this is only a test piece and there's not much. Just remember, your extruder might not turn unless you, well, it probably won't turn unless you've either got feed like at 0 in something like front or face, or you actually turn the nozzle temperature up. The software senses that the nozzle temperature is on, and it won't feed unless the temperature of the nozzle is correct, unless you tell it in front of face to feed like at 0. I'm just using the LCD 12864 here, so that's feeding out. I'm going to feed in from this angle. If I wait too long, it'll stop feeding because that's the way the LCD 12864 works. It goes back to the main screen if you leave it too long. So I'm feeding backwards now, like the retraction direction. And I'm going to ask it to feed forward just now. Its normal direction, there we go, so it's started turning in the way this is turning clockwise from this direction in the direction of the arrow I pinned on the side of here. So let's go in reverse a bit. It's a dragon motif here. And then I'm going to ask it to start coming forward a little bit after this reverse. And now it's going forward, normal feeding direction. Right, I'm just going to show you the quick release a bit, so I'll move camera position. So here is the quick release. It's just basically a bolt that the head of it hooks in here underneath. Now one thing I can do is almost move this lever. Now this isn't the best frame to bolt onto, so the whole thing might move. So you can, this is on this spring, so I can move that, and then I can move the filament. So that's, once it's fed in, basically I have some sort of, without dismantling it all, and then I can press in and unhook and gain access to the film sort of path going over the hot bolt in here. Generally I would say hold the lever, push it in, move it round and hook it on under there. We have a tension spring here, so we can adjust the tension using this nail nut. I'll move round from the side there so we can actually see the filament. Okay, I've moved from the side, so we can press that in, unhook it, and there you can probably see the filament there. So there's like a hook notch in the bottom here that this Allen bolt, in this case head, hooks into there. So pull the lever, press that, make sure that gets hooked in. That's hooked in there now. Oops. So I'm going to go back onto the LCD 12864 and just to show you it's still working basically. Prepare, move access, 1mm extruder, let's move forward to start off with. I think it's easier to notice it moving closer than moving further away. Generally, once you set the tension, it will keep that tension, so to speak, if you open and close it, as long as you don't turn that nail nut. Let's get that pretty close. It's almost touching there. So I'm going to ask it to come in reverse, so it's going in reverse direction now, like retraction direction. And I can squeeze that filament and put a bit of pressure on, and it still feeds, but don't do that too much. I wouldn't say it's like massively powerful, so to speak. It's got quite a bit of torque to this. So now I'm still going in reverse, retraction direction. And after this I'll ask it to go forward again. forward again. Come back a little bit and go forward quite a lot. I'll finish off and I'll put it into rewind, sort of going backwards. So I'll just finish off done this. So it seems to be working fine. I still have to actually try a print. I'll have to reconfigure how much filament is feeding. Although this is basically the same sizes as that, it's worthwhile checking by feeding so much filament through the tube and seeing how much it feeds. So still going rewind, and that's working fine. I'll let this stop and I'll show you I can still move that filament just now. So pull on the lever a bit and I've got slack tension there. Let go of the lever and it's gripping. Pull on the lever and it's got slack tension. And then, as I say, you can unhook it. And hook it back on. Okay, that's it. So that's that. I'm going to do a print soon using black PLA probably, and we'll see how well it actually prints.